What is going on today, gentlemen? We are live, March 3rd, beautiful Saturday here in Prince Edward Island. I think it was 4 last time I checked. It was like 4 degrees Celsius. But yeah, this is the rewind. This is, I believe, the rewind number 5. This is sort of our cover show where we cover all of our matches from the fan league. Then we cover the Schmodown matches. We take your questions. Just sort of a laid back kind of approach today. I got a 3-man panel, 3-man including myself. We're gonna go first with the guy who has, I believe, yet to miss a rewind. That is Caleb Mashed Potatoes. Caleb, how are we doing, man?
Doing good. It was close with this one. I got my bandmate is on his way here, and we're gonna head out to practice because I got a show tonight. But I'm here as long as I'm waiting for the ride. So
Yeah,
we'll see how this goes.
for sure. And making his return, I guess. He didn't really make it there last week. He is, of course, our head honcho of the TV league, and you can see him over on IG and a lot of other places. Timothy T.M. Smith, how are we doing, man?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, it was good to take actually a week or a little bit of time off after doing so much as it is behind the scenes. So it was great taking a little bit of time off. I had to miss the rewind, but I watched it. I watched it in replay in spirit with you guys. So
Yeah. All right, so let's get into things right away. Jukebox was on for the second week in a row. This week we did a podcast, did our countdown of the top 10 rappers. That was, of course, myself, the King Caleb Coho, the Hitman Hunter Chambliss, Chance Ellison, and a good buddy of mine, C-Dog Corey Duguay. And this list got some shit. I remember reading the chat after, and they were like, "Where's this rapper? Where's this rapper?" I thought it was good. I'm happy with the 12 that we got on there. I think there's some good diversity, some good representation of different eras. But I want to kick it over to somebody who was actually supposed to be on the show, but had to miss it due to some unfortunate circumstances. Tim, what were your thoughts?
I want to let Caleb go first, actually, because Caleb, go first. I'll come back to me, Brooklyn. Go to Caleb first.
All right, Caleb, let it out. Just let it out. Rip it off like a Band-Aid.
Just let it out. Oh boy, I just loved how Chance immediately came in with the attitude of, yeah, great, I'm here with a bunch of like millennial white guys talking about rap music. And then it was also capped off that I think Hunter mentioned every single white rapper like to ever exist in his list. That was a lot of fun. Yes, there were some glaring omissions, and I was probably the loudest person complaining about the list that got made. I apologize. I got very heated. But yeah, I don't know. It was fun. There was a good discussion in the chat afterwards, but boy, I got really wound up from that discussion, man. I will say I warned you beforehand that this was going to probably be the most pissed I ever was on a top 10.
Oh yeah. This is. I knew going into it that this list was going to be divisive. So I was glad to see that like people like yourself and Zadius and someone else was in there. Or I think Kane was in there talking
about. Yeah.
So yeah, TM, over to you. What were your thoughts on this list?
Well, it was great. We got to see Chance with a bunch of celebrities, the whitest kids you know, helping him with the top 10 rappers. But yeah, there was a lot of glaring omissions, I thought, from names that should have been brought up. Like, I'm surprised no one brought up Ice Cube, of all things, especially with the Dr. Dre, because Ice Cube was a lot behind of NWA and Dr. Dre's success and his own success. But I mean, it was still a fun thing to watch. It was still fun banter back and forth, especially Coho and Chance going at it over Nicki Minaj being better than Missy Elliott, which I'm sorry, Coho is smoking a lot of weed.
We need gifts. I need JTH on this stat. I need the Chance yelling you're a freaking idiot at Coho. I need that gif. I need the you're stupid when Hunter mentioned Macklemore. I need that gif. And
I forgot about that one.
And I need the gif of I don't know what NF stands for, but today it means no fucking way.
Yeah, I think Chance was the all-star on that one.
Oh,
absolutely. On that panel because Chance let loose with all of our frustrations of like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But in all, it was a good show, Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I can't wait for the one in March. I believe TM. I think we might have talked about it loosely. I believe it's one. Yeah, I think we're gonna do that one in March. So that's gonna be pretty cool.
Which one?
Hopefully not as decisive. Yeah.
The TV themes. I think I'm gonna change the format slightly on that one.
Yeah.
That's gonna be fun.
So now we move on to Tuesday and a very exciting doubleheader. Let's go into the undercard. We had Nicole Morris taking on the Wolf, Jim Green. This is an exciting match. It was a lot closer than I expected. It could have went either way. I know they got Will Ferrell in round 2, kind of a lackluster round, but Jim was able to come back from that deficit that he had in round 1. Tim, what were your thoughts on the match?
I didn't see the whole way through, but I saw bits and pieces, especially towards the end with the never winning order recruiting another member of the SS sinking ship. While hearing Nico in the background screaming, "No!" like he's Darth Vader.
Why?
Or Anakin waking up into Darth Vader. But I mean, it was a good debuting match for one, and I think it was a debuting for Jim over in movies too. I thought Jim's had.
I don't think so. I think he was one in something.
Yeah, but a debuting from Nicole. She seemed all right. It was an entertaining match to go with. Of course, we had, I believe, I forget the final score of it, but
I know. No, it came down to. I know Jim missed his 5-pointer because he had that psycho question, but then they changed it because he got the Steve McQueen, and he missed that. I think he was down by. I think he lost by 3. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It was close. It was a close game. It was still a good showing. So we'll see more of Nicole from the future probably. But before I jump on that whole Queen bandwagon like Coho is, I want to see more of this person.
Yeah, she's she was really good on the mic. I think if she got anything from Nico, it's how to cut a promo. And from video and the Facebook, she does pretty well. But Caleb, over to you. What were your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Especially like Tim said, with Nico's little commentaries in the background was very interesting. Because she was in the car with him. I was
dun dun dun.
I had no idea what to expect. I mean, Jim, he's got his good days and he's got his bad days when it comes to movie trivia. I wouldn't say he's a great player, but he can be good or he can be really bad. So I don't know if that was necessarily indicative of what he can do. We've seen him do better in other things.
Yeah.
But Nicole just came in and she it's not like she spanked him, but it was it was a strong performance, especially as a debut. Round 2. It is what it is, especially with debuting players. It doesn't usually go that long. I mean, we can talk about a different match coming up next when we're talking about how round 2 doesn't go long.
Yeah.
The exact opposite. But I think overall they both did a pretty decent job. And I'm excited to see what happens more from Nicole. Especially since she's already calling people out on on the Facebook page. She wants in wrestling, which she would be the first lady to compete in wrestling, which is awesome. So like more power to that. But yeah, then she went and joined the never winning organization.
Yeah.
That's
Like what? Yeah. So so I don't know what to think of her. She certainly knows how to get people riled up, though.
Just sort of scrolling through the chat here, I know kind of back on the jukebox thing, Malcolm saying Chance and Brooklyn were the sanest on the panel. I disagree. I think it was myself, and with the exception of Corey nominating Lil Wayne, I think Corey might have been one of the sanest people on here, especially him making his internet debut. I see Mark goes on. He's saying, but it was it's not hard to spank Jim Green. If you see your face in him, you know what your day off. That doesn't make sense.
It's Mark. What do you expect?
Oh, also Nico says
doing, talk to text or whatever, text to speak to text.
Nico also saying she knew how to cut a promo before I met her. So obviously this is not an inherited gift. This is something that she worked on for a while. So I applaud you, Nicole, for your promo work.
I applaud Nico for his commentary work.
Yeah. We shouldn't bash Nico too hard. He was on here last time, and he was actually a pretty good sport.
I'm not bashing him. I found it hilarious.
Okay, so Mark is saying that competing against Jim Green is a day off. I would love to see Jim be on here and just be able to defend himself, but.
Oh, don't worry. There's a few times you're going to see in the upcoming weeks where we'll see if Mark can back up his mouth.
Yeah. All right, so that takes us into part 2 of MTS Tuesday. This was a very, very, very anticipated match. It is, of course, the challenger Gregory taking on Jeremy the Atom Adams in a match that's been anticipated for a while. Of course, it started with Grant cutting a promo on Jeremy, challenging him for the title, and then Jeremy, represented by his manager Crowley the Cat, saying, "Hell yeah, I'll take you on." And this is a fun match. Especially Caleb and I, we were honest. I know there are a couple of slip ups. A certain fucker here forgot to triple check a question that ended up being wrong later on. But it was fun. Let's go over to Caleb first. What were your thoughts on this championship match?
It was a lot of fun. I wish I had. I wish I was able to hear it. Most of what was going on when I was live, I was experiencing technical difficulties again. My Wi-Fi is kind of hit or miss, but the match was incredible. It's definitely one for the ages. Like I said before, that's how round 2 should go. That was insane. How deep those guys went on round 2. It was so good. And then, but then the upset of upsets that Grant just blew past Jeremy in round 2. I don't think anybody's ever stumped Jeremy in round 2. Ever, in our format. And, so it's baffling. It's incredible. We got a new champion, and just despite that little hiccup, with the betting round question, it was great. I do personally think that since that happened, that we should be awarding Grant the full-on KO, because points-wise, he should have had a KO in round 4, which, again, never, ever, people were saying that it was impossible for anybody to beat Jeremy, much less anybody to knock him out. That was insane. I'm not 100% sure if it was a points record. I don't think it was.
I think they were over 30.
But it was close. They were both over 30, yeah.
Yeah. Because I know in round 2 they each named off at least 15 movies. I remember that much. But yeah, for anybody to knock out Jeremy, that's gosh darn impressive. I got asked Tim this. With like Grant having this big win and then Jeremy, this was a tough loss for him, and you could see it in the post-match interview. What does this mean for Grant, and what does this mean for Jeremy? I know Jeremy's talked about doing but where do you see Grant and Jeremy, let's say 5 months from now?
Okay. I'll get to that in a second. After this whole show's done, I want everybody to go back to when we first saw Sean and Grant teaming together. Both of these guys came in the movie league individually, just wreck shop, prove their dominance. And when I said, now you're fucked, yeah. And when they teamed up and I introduced them, I said, now you're fucked. I was not surprised with this. I was not surprised with this win. I was not surprised with the points because I have been touting for what I've seen from Grant. He is going to be a dominant champion. And nothing against Jeremy. Jeremy was a dominant, is still a dominant competitor as well. He came in, wrecked shop. He beat Caleb here for the title.
Yep.
And I mean, he was a dominant performer, but I think we've seen the new bar come in and take that, and he's going to hold on to it for a while. But I would see in, let's say, 5 months, like you said, Brooklyn, I could see Jeremy coming back after doing stuff he has to do and taking that time off, and I can
doing
see
his
Grant
Rocky
still
montage.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I can still see Grant holding that title. I really do. Yeah. And maybe we'll see a rematch down the road of it. We could, but you never know with taking time off because you never know how long that time off is going to be. You never know what happens with that. Yeah, so it was still great. But I predict 5 months down the line, Grant's still going to be holding this title, waiting for a worthy challenger to take it from him.
Yeah, he's gonna have tough opponents. I think Chance and Sean will be competing for that title. Not soon, but whenever schedule permitting. I think they play, and then the winner faces Grant. That sound right?
It probably something like that. I haven't had a look at the MTS schedule in a while. But yeah, I mean, I believe they're both 3-0.
Yeah.
Which, so the winner of that would be 4-0. That's certainly a way
gotta be some form of contender.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, they'd be tied with Grant because after this he's 4-0. So
yep.
Yeah. All right, so that covers Movie Tuesdays. That was a fun one. Wednesday we had, I believe it was an off week. That's gonna be coming up. It's coming up next week. I think that's gonna be Hunter and Leo. So watch for that one to come up on Wednesday. Then we go into IG for another doubleheader. This first match I kind of had a biased interest in this as the Atomic Ed Sale, one half of the team Royal Flush, took on Cody Newberry in a very entertaining match, similar to a Schmodown match that we'll get into later. It was pretty fun. Tim, as somebody who was pretty well hosted in that match, what are your thoughts?
I mean, it was a good match. It was a good, entertaining match. Regardless of what I still think at the end, Cody was too hard on himself. He had a great showing. Ed had a great showing as well. And these are two players. They're fun to watch, and I can't wait to see more of them in Inner Geekdom. Because I think they're going to grow. I think they're going to be they're going to be permanent heads once they grow and get in there a few more times. And Cody, I think even me and Caleb talked about this. It'd be funny just having him sitting there on commentary, just color commentating. That'd be hilarious. I mean,
Yeah, I mean the guy's great on the
guy's
mic.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think it wasn't really that high scoring of a match. I know Ed got his weakness in DC, and then Cody. I know Cody got his strength in MCU. Round 3. How did round 3 go? I think Ed won via TKO.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Ed has a great future ahead in IG. I mean, like I know Cody. I know he admits that his weakness is in IG. He has got potential. But Caleb, anything that you wanted to add to that match?
Yeah, I mean, just like, well, it was a great match. I had a ton of fun. Honestly, this is probably the most fun I've had in a match in a while. Just in terms of like pure, yucks and shooting the shit. Just like having a great time with it. Cody came in literally just, it was kind of these guys are both new, and he said he'll give Inner Geekdom a shot. He came in basically being like, I'm going to lose, and then brought it in. If I'm not mistaken, he brought it within 2 points.
Yeah.
In round 3. So, it's, it wasn't a total crap show for him. He did okay. But then I think Ed could be a real contender. He did really great, I believe he pulled out like 5 or 6 in the first round. With round 2, he only gave up 1 steal, and then he didn't have to answer any of his round 3 questions. So I mean, he did very well. I think it will be interesting to see. Because I think round 3 is really where your movie knowledge gets put to the test like the most, because it's literally dialogue from movies, so you have to have like seen them and retained that information. I'd like to see what he can do in round 3 before I say if he's like a threat, but he did well. And that was a lot. Like I said, it was a lot of fun. That whole match is like super entertaining, at least to me, the question writer.
Yeah, for sure. So the next match, then the kind of the main event, I guess, as it was titled, was Stephen Funsize Brody making his return against a guy that's been on fire in IG, the Hobbit Robert Parker. This one was a fucking barn burner. Both of these guys had solid. Or Steven didn't have a solid round 1, but he really made up for it in round 2, and then round 3. Like I could have swore it was going to go to sudden death. That last quote that Steven got was incredibly tough. I want to go to Caleb first. What were your thoughts on Funsize versus the Hobbit?
Like I said about Jesus Christ, like I said about Jeremy versus Grant, is it applies the exact same about Robert versus Funsize, man. I honestly I didn't know what to expect with Funsize, because it's been since October since he's played. And we've changed up the format of the game on him, and he still came in and gave like one of the most dominant players in the game a run for his money. I don't think anybody's ever made Robert answer his round 3 questions. And he did it. He kept it close. He hit his strength. But at the same time, like that Funsize is still a threat, and like I said in the match, if you didn't know his name before this, you should freaking know it now. The guy is a beast.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think this puts Robert at 3-0 in Nagita. Like that's got to be put him in. And I think at least top 3. Tim.
Yeah. I would say after this, he's probably. I think we talked about it. He'd be at the number 1 spot, but this is also this is 2 of these guys coming into a match. One of them would move on to a number 1 contender match spot. So both of these guys you knew were going to bring their A game. And granted, like Caleb said with Steven, we haven't seen him compete for a while. And it kind of works one of 2 ways. Either A, that Russ just sets in and hurts him, like we've seen with some competitors, or B, like what we saw, yeah, he hasn't played for a while, but he came back with a fucking vengeance and took Robert to the edge. I mean, Robert also, you got to think, he only missed 2 questions. 2 questions in 2 matches. This one, he quadrupled that. He missed some questions, and it had to go all the way down to the final question of round 3, and Robert was able to pull it out.
Yeah, I just to add on to that real quick. Jeez. Robert's never given up a steal in round 2, and I think Steve got 2 of them, if I'm remembering right. Got 2 big steals on Robert, and that's never been done in our league.
Yeah, I could have sworn it was only 1, but I'd have to double check. But I think you might be right.
Well, or it was a 2-point steal, maybe.
Yeah, but regardless, you know, he came to play Robert, and he battled him and pushed him, and Robert had to dig down deep to be able to get past this match. Which, I mean, yeah, Robert moves up in the rankings. This also gets him a number 1 contender spot. But, I mean, the challenge ain't going to end there, because the winner out of our next match to take that other number 1 contender match spot, Robert's going to have to battle to the end there, and then we'll see what happens. But this is a match you definitely want to see. This is a match we talk about of this is a great match. This is an example of it, and it was amazing to call, to watch these 2 heavyweights just battle it out like they're in a boxing ring or UFC octagon.
Yeah. All right, guys. It is at this point of the day that I got to go to single cam mode, just because I have sent a message to our Schmodown guests. They will be making their appearance at this time. So while we I don't know who the guest is, only I know myself. So I want to go to Tim first. Who do you think our guest is going to be today?
How much did you pay this person, Brooklyn? That's what I want to know.
I mean, I paid him like $10,000 Canadian, so that's like about $5 US.
So you paid him all your Canadian Tire money.
Yeah, I had a bunch of nickel bills. I think right now they're doing cards. So I just gave him like a card. I'm like, I hope you can use this somewhere. I don't know if they have Canadian. I don't know if Canadian Tire where you are, but yeah. Who do you think it's going to be?
I mean, don't I already know?
I don't know. Do you? Did you drink the Kool-Aid, and was it like were you like, oh, but it must be this person here because of this reason?
You know what? I'm going to shoot big for the stars because I'd like to go a little word-on-word, toe-to-toe, as you can see my hat. You bring that Giants lover Harloff on, me and him will go toe-to-toe over some Cowboys-Giants stories because the Giants, they ain't nothing with the star here, boy.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. How many times have the Cowboys been in the Super Bowl in the last 2 decades?
Let's see. How many Cowboys Super Bowls do we have? 5. How many do the Giants have? 2, if they're lucky. Maybe 3.
Yeah. All right. So now I got to kick it over to Caleb. Caleb, who do you think is going to be our panelist today? Any thoughts? Your mic is off, dude. Okay. Your mic's muted.
Well, I can see his face right now, so it's kind of been given away.
Should we introduce? Well, we're on single cam mode right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
at
just
least
give
shot
it
a
away.
promo for
Why?
Christ's
Like, I'm
sakes.
not even gonna like pretend to guess. Like, I see it. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah. All right, guys. Without
Just
further
announce
introduction,
it.
this is a huge moment for us over at Jack of All Trivia. I kind of lied about it being one person. We actually have two people today. It is, of course, Vanessa and Robert from Late to the Party. How we doing, guys?
Hello there. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hi.
All right, single cam mode is now off. We can have everybody as a panel. This is good. So we just finished covering our like kind of fan league matches. We had different ones like music, IG, wrestling, TV, that kind of stuff. So now we're on to the juicy part. We are going to be covering the Schmodown matches from this week, and we have 3 to cover. This is going to be a fun one. Let's start off with Tuesday, the team match. We had 2 debuting teams, and that of World's Finest taking on Kingsman. And for myself, I actually didn't. I kind of forgot that World's Finest was a Batman Superman reference. I saw them do their promos, and I'm like, oh, okay, it actually makes some sense now as to why they're called World's Finest. So I have to take it over to our special guests, Vanessa and Robert. What were your thoughts on the match? I know for myself, it was pretty entertaining. Yeah, what are your thoughts?
Entertaining, fun. I'm excited to see new competitors come to the match, especially us being competitors as well.
Yeah, definitely seeing a lot of the new blood show up into the Schmodown ring. Not only as competitors, you get to kind of see possible future competitors that we may go up against, and just see how other teams take to this world of the Schmodown. I mean, because we had to go through that experience as well. In our match, in our opinion, granted we lost, but it was went over very well with a lot of the fans. So we want to kind of see that happen with everybody. So World's Finest versus Kingsman, knew nothing about him. We didn't even know who were the members like leading up into that match. Yeah. And it definitely was entertaining. It did not go the way we thought it was going to go. I really had my money on Kingsman for that one. And no, my money would have been lost quick. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the first people that I think one of the first things that people look into when people make their debuts is kind of like that promo kind of reputation kind of vibe they get. And they were shit talking. They were having a good time, and they were comfortable. They were comfortable on the camera, which I think is something that is kind of needed for that showdown match. But they had the swagger that kind of gives a good impression for most teams. So now over to Tim. Your thoughts on the match, and I know it was. I don't believe it ended in a TKO, or did it?
I would not know.
TKO was a last question.
Because I've been a very bad Schmodown fan and have fallen behind on some of these videos. So I have to watch them. I apologize. I have to watch them. But when you have 2 new teams coming together for a match, I kind of like to see that dynamic because you already know the team scene as it is. Like I said, you have Late to the Party, you have Top 10, Top That. You have all these older teams to see how they would stack up against the already established teams. So I can't wait to see that, to see where each team would kind of fit in, to see who they could challenge next to move up those ranks, to take those titles away from those awful Patriots. I really hope it's Top 10, but that's just me. I'm biased there. But yeah, I still have to fully watch this one, so we'll kick it over to Caleb.
Yeah, Caleb, what were your thoughts on the match in general, and where do you see World's Finest? I know they put up some good numbers in terms of points, and I know with Kingsman, they're kind of like, I know they were kind of low scoring, but they had that wild berries kind of effect where it's it's going to be low scoring, but you're going to have fun with it. So where do you see these teams going from there?
I don't know if I'd say that I knew it was going to be low scoring. That I mean they both came in and they were good on the mic. I apologize. My nephew has a microphone right now. Yeah. To correct you, it was a TKO. And I don't know. World's Finest. They came out and like super impressed. They were pretty dominant going throughout the game. I mean, 22 points the final score was 22-17. That's pretty dang impressive for a debut match. And a TKO, so they didn't even have to answer any round 3 questions. 22 points in 2 rounds is pretty goddamn good. And the Kingsmen, they were a lot of fun. Like you said, they were a lot of fun to watch. I definitely wouldn't compare them to the Wildberries yet. They're certainly entertaining to watch, and I'm looking forward to see if it was just the bright lights, or if or nerves or whatever. But yeah, I definitely want to see them again. But I think World's Finest is somebody to look out for.
Yeah, for sure. I know. It could be maybe with that Batman Superman influence name that they could have like a gimmick of they're like a misconstrued gimmick of being just kind of these comic book teams. But I think they've proven that they are well versed outside of that comic book realm that a lot of people seem to have as their strength. So with that, guys, we move on to the first part of the Friday doubleheader. This was actually the Patreon match, and for anybody who was a Patreon follower, I believe it's the $5 or the $10 one. If you're on that tier, you get to see this match. I believe it was a week early, and that is of course the Wild Man Josh Makuga taking on Nick Scarpino and once again, an entertaining match, but this was actually surprisingly high scoring. Like, I know Makuga especially was going on about, if we get 5 points, do we get that bonus question? He went 7 of 8 in round 1. I know people are kind of like, oh yeah, he's 8 and 8. He's just a 500 guy. The guy still knows his stuff. I want to kick it over to Tim first this time. These guys, it was the battle of the beards. Makuga Scarpino. Even Makuga mid-match wanted him to join the Wildberries. What were your thoughts on this low-key, high-scoring match?
Well, this match has also been talked about since last season. You see the seducer producer coming in. You kind of see that you've seen that swag before with Makuga. They both share that similar swag. If you get, they share that, and you could see these two coming together. Either we thought as a team. I really thought as a team because I would have loved to see these two together more than Makuga and Dewberry, but you see him in a match, and I'm glad this match finally has happened. It's something I don't care about past performances of Makuga. I love to see Makuga in the ring, and seeing these two in a match, that's great entertainment for me because these two are great. So,
for sure. I'm now going to kick it over to our special guest late to the party. I'm sure you've had the opportunity to kind of talk to Makuga in person, and I'm sure he is the wild man that his moniker makes him out to be. Do you think that this might be some sort of a Makuga sauce? You might see him kind of venture back into singles with this win, or is this going to kind of be like a once in a blue moon kind of thing where we just see him pop up every now and then?
I think it is just a pop-up every now and then. I think that he wanted to do this for patrons and have some fun with it. And same with Nick Scarpino, and just them together is such a great first match that they did for Patreon. And it was a lot of fun. And like even we said, like he needs to join the freaking Wildberries, like have a 3-man Wildberries team there.
Yeah, if they utilize, let's say, like the Freebird rules, and Scarpino showed up and you didn't know who was going to compete until they sat down, I'd be cool with that. However, I did not know until that match that Scarpino doesn't live in the area. He's kind of like us, so I don't foresee that happening just because it doesn't make sense to have a member that's not constantly there. Like, it's easier for Dewberry and Makuga to come together for the fun matches. As for Makuga being a singles competitor, I think all those veterans of the Schmodown are just going to chime in when it's fun. They're not going to be on a competitive level anymore. You already seen it with Ellis. You saw it with Riley. And then you saw it with Merle and Makuga. Like, they're stepping back to let all these other characters kind of take shape. However, I think we'll get plenty of wild berries, and then Makuga will pop up whenever it's convenient for him. He is a busy guy. Like, out of all the times that we've been there, we've only really talked to him once, because he's
always
he takes
everywhere.
off and has to go work, do something else. But yeah, when it came down to that match, it was definitely a lot of fun seeing these guys go head to head. We were very much advocates of the Scarpino Makuga. What was it, beard to beard, that they were going to do?
Yeah.
One of our first reactions that we did was to Scarpino versus Bernardin. And I remember when we first went to Collider, it's even in our video that we shot when we were at Collider. I didn't even realize it was Scarpino. And I felt so bad because, like, the camera's on him and he looks at us and he, like, gets this big smile and then the camera moves away. Like, I didn't even realize it was Scarpino at the time because we were still so new to some of those competitors. But yeah, he's a fun guy, and I want to see more of Scarpino and Makuga for sure.
Yeah. This is actually kind of a good segue. I got to ask Caleb this question. In round 2, Natalie Portman got all the love in round 2. Like that wheel round, they were screaming for Natalie. And then with Makuga getting opponent's choice, Natalie Portman was the category brought up. Do you think now that Natalie Portman is a mainstay on the wheel for this reason?
I don't know how to answer that question. She should be. Like, she's done a bunch of great movies. But I don't know if this match really had the impact to make it like a permanent slice on the wheel or anything. I wouldn't. I don't know about that. And yeah, in terms of just the match in general, it was, like I said, it was a lot of fun to watch. I wasn't that surprised that it was as high scoring as it was. People like sleep on Makuga a lot, but I mean, the guy beat Clark Wolf, and he's beaten a lot of like heavy hitters in the league, and then he's lost to them too. But so he's a great competitor. And Scarpino, I mean, we've only seen him like 3 or 4 matches, so he hasn't done that much, but he's always done reasonably well. So I thought this match was a fantastic undercard for the match we're going to talk about in a second. God damn!
McWeeny versus Bibiani.
Yeah,
the main event.
The other beard versus beard match, I guess you would call it.
Yep.
And with that, we might as well get right into it. That is the main event of the Beast Bibiani making his return against McWeeny. When the last time we saw him, they had a heartbreaker of a match against the Patriots, losing, of course, on the remember the Titans question. It was a good match. I did like it. There were some good things. I don't know if it was just something like like if it was something kind of in post production that I noticed. I noticed that there was no background music, and I found the crowd is kind of quiet. So for me, I just found there was kind of like an awkward silence, and I think that kind of took away from the match because like the match was really good. Bibiani had one of the coolest entrances ever. Like as soon as you see him like not coming up, and then they kind of pan back to Knapsack and Riley, and then you see Riley kind of sync up, and I'm like, all right, they're gonna do the alien thing, which I think is awesome. Then realize they're gonna do that on like that kind of a budget. But yeah, it was a good one. Bibiani, of course, having the lead in round 2. He got spinner's choice with what category did he take? Because I know Hitchcock was on there, and I was surprised he didn't take Hitchcock. So yeah, he took horror. McWeeny got westerns, and I think that was a smart move by McWeeny because nobody takes westerns except if your name is John Roca. But once again, kind of sum up things. Bibiani had that lead in round 2, and he couldn't seem to pull the answers that he needed. Over to Caleb first. What does this mean for Bibiani, and what does this mean for McWeeny?
What does it mean for Bibiani? I don't know. He's He's been up and down. Like, I mean, it certainly means that he's got more work to do to come back to living up to his hype. I mean, the hype was, this is the new Dan Murrell, this is the new greatest of all time competitor, and he's done some great things. Don't get me wrong. He's set the scoring record, done, like, I think he was the first person to get to do 2 perfect rounds. He's done a ton of stuff. He's a great competitor. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, he to put it in perspective, I mean, he only scored two more points than Makuga did in the match before. So I don't know. I don't know if it was just a bad match, or if you could kind of chalk this up as a pattern, I mean, but then again, he was going up against another one of the new greats against McWeeny. He's absolutely an incredible competitor. Almost the team champion. He's just freaking an amazing guy. Yeah, I don't know, man.
For sure. All right, I'm now going to kick it over to Tim. With that, we saw in Bibiani's post match interview, he was very, very quiet. He's kind of this one word responses like, yeah, nah, no. I mean, I think this has to be a heartbreaker for him. Like, he's now 3-4. What do you think about that? What do you think about that vibe? Does that vibe concern you, or is that just kind of him playing off of this potentially new character that he's going on?
Well, I mean, you might maybe just see him maybe reevaluate a little because, like you said, another loss, another defeat, another setback. And, when he came in, he's hyped up as this next big thing is, I'm a wrestling fan, like I know Caleb is and you are. He was touted as the next big thing, like the Brock Lesnar of Schmodown trivia.
I wouldn't call him. I wouldn't call. I feel like that's an insult to call Bibiani Brock Lesnar. Like if you're gonna call Bibiani a part timer who has the championship and just plays, he competes once every few months.
No. Just not now, Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar when he first came in.
Oh, okay.
Young Brock Lesnar. Think about when Brock Lesnar. God, do you not know your wrestling history? I apologize.
I'm 0-1 in wrestling, so.
But I mean, he came in as this next big thing. Everyone's saying it, and then he hit the roadblocks. He hit the setbacks. I will compare it to, think of JTE. Think of all the roadblocks and all the setbacks he had. He came back from that in singles. Like we saw, he was one question away. He could have fought for the singles championship instead of Rachel. But these happen. He could come back from it. This is another setback from him, and it's probably going to affect him and calm him down. You're not going to see him as hype as like you usually do for post-match interviews. It's going to affect you. These losses affect you. I could see him coming back, though. All he needs is one good match to get him on that hot streak, and he could roll with it. But I mean, I was a big above the line fan seeing these two come together. So I love that Drew won. And I think ever since the combining of that team, Drew has become stronger. Same as Sam, because Sam's now singles champion. You've seen these two grow in their strength. And get back to it, I can see Bibiani reevaluating maybe from it, but all he really needs is one good streak or one good match to get back on it, and he could run with it. So it's still up in the air, but I think it's going to affect him and calm him down.
Yeah, more. For sure. Now I take it over to Robert and Vanessa. We saw in McWeenie's post-match interview, Bibiani passed him. I think it was on Orange or a Tangerine. I'm not sure if that's a reference to some sort of movie. I will admit, and my record shows that I'm 0-4, so my movie knowledge is not where it needs to be. And then we saw McWeenie kind of call out JT and Roca. Who do you think is the better opponent for McWeenie, and does that, like, what does that orange thing mean for us who don't really know the reference?
The orange thing was a reference to The
It's
Godfather.
a Godfather.
Yeah, it's a Godfather
Well,
reference.
I just watched that movie like last month. How do I
You know what?
How do I miss a Godfather reference?
We missed it too in our reaction. I was like, why did you just hand him an orange? Because when I think of the orange, I don't go to Godfather. I go to the movie Mafia with Lloyd Bridges and Jay Moore, like, because that is just a ripoff of Godfather, Goodfellas, Casino, and the whole orange, he puts the orange in his mouth. So that's where I went with it. But yeah, as for who is the best competitor for Drew McWeeny, we did talk about that in our reaction, and we came to the conclusion.
Roca.
Yeah.
I want to see him go up against somebody who he hasn't gone up against. We've already seen him go up against JTE, but I want to see him go up against Roca because I feel like their knowledge between the two of them are roughly the same level. So I want to see that match would be great to watch. And I would be curious as to see, like, in the first round, whether or not who would get the edge up on somebody. And then in the second round, if somebody were to get like opponent's choice or something, who would take the lead on that one. And that would be it would be interesting though, too, because Roca is very like headstrong and very like, I want to do this. And then McWeeny is very like laid back and is like, I'm just going to do this. And so to see like that kind of personality between the two of them go up against each other, it'd be interesting.
And that's a situation where Roca could capitalize on that too. If it's that laid back mentality, Roca is very assertive when it comes to those types of matches, especially now because he's back into the meditating and getting his head into the game. Where McWeeny, I mean, he is more lax, like you said. He ditched the blazer and now he's rocking a hoodie, so he's getting a little bit more casual. But yeah, like you guys said, Westerns, nobody, unless you're John Roca, is going to choose Westerns. So what happens when you're facing a McWeeny who just killed it in the Westerns category? As for Bibiani, man, I feel really, really like bad for Bibiani just because it's not just the fact that he's losing. A lot of the fans as well are starting to be very vocal in a negative way against Bibiani, you know, saying that, oh, it was all hype and, you know,
and
deflated.
I think that first match that he ever did when he played against Draco,
yeah,
it really deterred him for sure because now he has a lot of pressure on him to do well because of that one match. And every time he goes into these matches not doing well, everybody's like, oh, well, then he's not as good as everybody's saying he is. And so he has like, and he does this on himself too. And I noticed it when we played against him that he like they will get too ahead of themselves. And he did that too. He got too ahead of himself in these matches. And I think that he needs to kind of like think it through and not worry about the pressure that he has on him and just play the game.
And that's the thing is Bibiani, he has something that I started noticing with certain players. It's almost like a short fuse when it comes to answering. Another person who had that issue was Jason Inman. Jason Inman would just get fed up mentally. You could see it on his face when he got asked a question and he didn't know the answer. I don't know, this. And it's like, no, dude, think about it. Like, dig through your brain. You may come up with it. Give yourself more time and utilize it. And look, Jason Inman now holds the Inner Geekdom belt because he started taking his time and maybe racking his brain to figure out what that answer could be. Bibiani does the same thing where he just throws it out there. And if he doesn't know that, well, I mean, it makes sense. It's 2012. Like,
but it's funny to say that too, because when you're watching it, like on the screen and stuff, they do have enough time to kind of think about it. But when you're sitting at the table, it feels like this amount of time for you to think about that question. Like they're already started counting you down. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You got to drag it out. And then even Christian brought it up too to McWeeny. He's like, well, you could drag it out more time using the GTE rule to get your answer down because he would have had Sleeping Beauty on that board.
Yeah, to use that.
Both of them are guilty of that.
Now, mind you, somebody brought this up on the Facebook page. I thought it was kind of interesting. In the World's Finest Kingsman match, I think there was also I forget what the question was in particular, but Sleeping Beauty was the answer. It was the gentleman from Kingsman. He had Sleeping Bee, and they accepted that. So I know that, and I know with Weenie, he also had Sleeping Bee, and they didn't accept it. So that is just something. I know that was kind of a slip on their end. I'm sure it was something that they didn't really catch. And I think also in terms of McWeeny, how their people are hard on him. I think it's more so maybe Chris Clark. Chris Clark talks about how Bibiani is the greatest of all time and how he's like, oh, if anybody cheers for McWeeny, that their posts are going to be blocked or whatever. So I think people were happy just so that Chris could sit in the chair and kind of this process and think about what happened. So with that, guys, that covers our Schmodown part of the show. It is at this time that we will be taking some questions from the chat. Obviously, with our very special guest late to the party, we have a very active chat today. So I'm sure they
Brooklyn?
have.
I wouldn't have imagined.
Well, these late to the party guys, they're kind of new. I'm not sure, but no, of course, late to the party, they're gonna bring views.
Oh, nice meeting you guys.
So while we take some time to process some questions, so that I get to run a chat. The question that I have for Robert and Vanessa. So I'm sure you don't know, but what our channel, what it kind of makes us separate, or what kind of separates us from the usual kind of fan league stuff, is that we do different media matches. So we will do TV that is run by, of course, the cowboy wearing TM Smith. Then we have our own division of Inner Geekdom that is run by Caleb Mashed Potatoes himself. We have wrestling, which is run by Haven the Pendergast. He is another one of the admins on our page. And then myself, I run a music trivia league that runs. I think we go on Mondays. IG is on Thursdays, and wrestling is every second Wednesday. So my question to you guys is, if you couldn't compete on movie trivia, what sort of media do you think is your next best?
So if we were to compete in a trivia game, but not doing movies specifically,
Inner Geekdom.
No, for me it would end up. I mean, let's go TV. Like I would do like The Office trivia.
See, I would do
Doctor Who trivia,
like specific ones like The Office and Doctor Who, because
Community.
those are the ones I know the most.
You can go.
Yeah.
Inner Geekdom television would probably be the way that I would go. Real Ghostbusters and
Full House.
Yeah, why not? Let's just go TGIF, man. Let's
Perfect Strangers.
Hell yeah, news radio.
Yeah. I have actually done something like that with Marvel TV shows. So
and Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yes, we did Game of Thrones. Yep.
I think there's also talks of doing a potential Breaking Bad. I'm not sure if that one might still be in the works.
I just finished all of them right now. Again, I'm on Better Call Saul again because I love Breaking Bad so much.
So good.
Yeah. All right. So our first question is going to come from Christopher Woodburn. His question is, what team would you guys like to face most in the future?
This is just setting my bar high, but I would love to go up against top 10, to be honest, because I would like to get inside Roka's head. It'd be hilarious.
Yeah, that's the thing is Roka, like we always have like this little bit of a spat on Twitter when it comes to top 10.
Love Roka.
And they always think it's me, but Vanessa's very much the originator of like the conflict between us and top 10. But then when we get there, it's like Vanessa loves us, but Robert hates us. I'm like, it's not even me. Vanessa's playing y'all. Vanessa's
That's
like the
true.
Mastermind when it comes to our little spat with top 10.
Because I do it out of love. That's why they say that I love them, because I do the spats out
Now
of
you
love.
sound like Chet. It's done out of love. No, you're causing waves. For me, I honestly I would like to go up against the Real Rejects just because of the reactor faction, like the reaction faction that we always talk about with them. We're very similar to the Real Rejects, at least just when we have conversations with them. We love those guys. They are amazing. I think we'd have a lot of fun going up against, our equals, the Real Rejects. But a lot of the new teams coming out, like already, we've been kind of going back and forth with World's Finest and Kingsman on Twitter. Kingsman, we didn't bring this up. You guys said you're wrestling fans. Don't Kingsman remind you of like William Regal? Like you got like a William.
Absolutely.
Like, you besmirched my legacy when they came out and wiped their feet. Like that's such a William Regal thing to do. So I would love to either go up against any of the newbies coming out. I think knowledge-wise, we would have a good match against World Finest. But yeah, we went up against Team Action, and essentially
I
Kingsman
want a
is the
remake.
British Team Action.
Rematch with Team Action, though, eventually.
Remaction.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once that
Yes.
suspension is lifted after tackling his dad.
Yeah.
Jury's still out on that one. If he's the dad, he's the dad. The next question the next question comes to us from Malcolm Godilay. He says, "I know from seeing you guys on Suddenly Soundtracks that you like musicals. I know Vanessa did Chicago. I don't know if Robert was Robert. Were you on one?
Yeah, we did Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the first ones.
Yeah. So he asks, what is your favorite musical of all time?
It's a good question. Mine, I already know mine, and I've already talked to Clark about it, and it's something that we could possibly be working out. Vanessa has already done another episode with them. But for me, Mary Poppins. I love Mary Poppins 100%. And I could just talk all day about Mary Poppins. So Dick Van Dyke, I mean, the man is incredible. And just what he pulls in that movie with Julie Andrews, the music beginning to end, that is my favorite musical of all time.
The greatest Cockney accent of all time.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For you?
I have a lot of them. I just there will be another suddenly soundtracks coming out about Beauty and the Beast, because that's like my number one animated movie all time. So that was coming out. But I'm gonna have to say Phantom of the Opera. I absolutely love that musical. Like just the torture and stuff that the Phantom has to go through. It's so tragic, but I love it.
And that Gerard Butler sure is handsome.
I like the musical, but
yeah.
So yes, Mary Poppins and Phantom of the Opera.
Awesome. Tim and Caleb, your thoughts on musicals? What is the best?
Go ahead,
Tim. Okay, I'll go ahead.
Go ahead, Caleb.
I freaking love musicals. If anybody knows me, like especially when I'm cooking, like I would just put on like Pandora or Spotify and play Broadway musicals, like all the time, despite the fact that I'm in a punk band. I think my favorite, at least right now, is probably Guys and Dolls. At least if we're talking movie musicals, Marlon Brando and Frank Sinatra, like they're just such a great pair. They have such like amazing on-screen chemistry, and like those songs are like incredible. Like "Luck Be a Lady," come on, it's so good. So that's my pick.
Yeah, Tim.
I'd have to go with Rent. I love that musical movie. It was one of the first musicals because my buddy, who is a huge movie fan, got me into musical movies. We saw Rent. He showed me Avenue Q, I think it's called for Broadway.
Yeah.
The puppet one. Yeah, and it was. But Rent would always, and it's still always my favorite. I love the songs. I love the action, or not the action, the actors. I love Rent so much. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah. For me, I think it has to be Moulin Rouge. That was one that my dad introduced me at a very young age. And for like Ewan McGregor and Nicole Kidman, that kind of stuff. And then like I know this one doesn't really count, but I've been asking Chris for months for this to be a Suddenly Soundtracks, and that'd be Tarzan. I love that soundtrack. For me, it's my favorite soundtrack of all time. Phil Collins. I actually played this one day this summer when I was driving home, and my wife was like, "What on God's green earth are you playing?" And I'm like, "We're playing Phil Collins." There's no offense and buts about it.
My heart bleeds whenever I hear those songs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How did you not divorce her after saying, "What are you listening to"? I mean, come on now.
I mean, she's pretty awesome. Yeah.
When we were at D23 2 years ago, they did a whole tribute to Robin Williams, and they played "You'll Be in My Heart." And tears across like 7,500 people. Yeah, holy, that was the worst thing in the world.
That's a sad song on its own. Like when you hear like even in the movie when you hear the gorilla talk, or I think her name is Kala when she sings at the on Tarzan. That's a very sad song. Yeah. So our next question today comes from actually a guy that we mentioned previously, the Hobbit Robert Parker. And his question to late to the party is, what has been your favorite match to either compete in or just to be in attendance?
Oh,
Well, to compete in it definitely was
critically acclaimed.
Yeah.
Just because the excitement that happened in the crowd while we were playing, like Roka was on his feet.
Like as soon as we won, Roka like stood up and he was just like, yes, and he was so excited.
Everybody went crazy for that match. And then it's just, I don't even remember the match. I just remember how the crowd was responding, and I was just looking at that scoreboard the entire time.
I think that one of my other favorites as well to attend was the match, the Star Wars match, the Fatal 5-Way Star Wars match between them, because the reveal with Ken and everything, and just being in attendance with everyone there, it was just insane.
And then I would say, for one that I watched that probably just was the most fun, everybody was so engaged, was I would say Christian versus Jeff Snyder. And that one was just the fever pitch of that day was during that match. And luckily we have footage of that crowd when that moment happened, because we didn't know what the answer was. We didn't think Christian knew it. And when he dropped that answer, man, everybody just lost their minds. And then seeing Christian walk off the stage just in like a euphoric trance, he was just like, what just happened? He's like, damn it, the comments are going to talk shit again. But yeah, it was a fun moment for us.
That was definitely one of the most badass moments like ever when he did that. It's just like, drop it right there. And walk off. It's so good.
All right, so our next question comes to us from the Cosmic Night Fury himself, the former WTS champion over here, Nikos Waviragoli. This is kind of a quick one-word question. What is your least favorite category? And I think this is for the whole panel.
I would say classics, only because even when I'm watching a match and they go classics, like I can't even play along, because I really, unless it's Sunset Boulevard or Some Like It Hot, that's pretty much the extent of my classic knowledge.
Yeah, mine would probably be classics too. Like aside from like Audrey Hepburn movies, like
aren't all classics Audrey Hepburn movies? I don't know.
There's others in there.
But just because I can't play along usually when they pick either Oscars or classics, like I can't really have fun while I'm watching the match at that point. It's like, all right, well, it's you guys.
Yeah, because you would think like movie release dates would be like, but it's so much fun to just kind of guess.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know, you just guess a date. And if you're like super close, you're like, yes.
Yeah.
I was close.
To kind of answer the question myself, I like similar to how you guys feel like you can't play in classics. For me, that's horror. I can't compete. I've watched maybe 2 movies that are classified as a horror. It's just not fun. And then like you mentioned movie release dates. I find with myself, like I'm always off by a year, and it's just so fucking frustrating. Just how it's like, it's actually 2002. Fuck. Next question, please. Tim and Caleb, what are your favorite categories? Or what are your least favorite categories?
Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, God. To harken with Vanessa and Robert, classics and Oscars are kind of like that for me. But also anything romantic comedy, because that always throws me off. That is my most hated. I'd rather have a million Oscar questions than anything romantic comedies, because that you might as well just basically he's just there. I'm going to answer the question. It's like it's horrible. But yeah, I think that'd be.
I was expecting you to say Harry Potter.
That's for inner geekdom. We're not bringing that up because these two are probably Harry Potter fanatics. And,
but man, I hate Lord of the Rings. Like I cannot do Lord of the Rings.
Whoa.
When that come on, give me all the Willow questions. No Lord of the Rings.
I tried to get him to watch Lord of the Rings. He just won't do it.
How dare you?
The trees walk in that damn movie, right?
And the second
Clerks
one.
too.
Oh,
that's
okay.
only in the extended version.
Well,
okay,
I thought I was
here's
watching the
game
extended.
Wait till he's asleep. Tie him to a chair. Tape his eyes open, and make him watch them.
Oh yeah, Clockwork Orange him.
Yeah,
right.
that's how I feel. That's already how I feel when I watch Lord of the Rings, man. I'll watch Willow like 6 times in a row.
That's okay. You never want to rewatch Harry Potter with me either. So.
That's because I play Harry Potter in my mind over and over, man. I love Harry Potter. Harry Potter's fantastic.
All right. So this next question is definitely a thinker. This comes to us from Nazario
Oh yeah, that's good.
Montenegro.
You can skip me. It's all good.
Oh, sorry, Caleb.
Okay.
Caleb. What is your least favorite
No,
category?
I mean everybody knows mine. Well, not everybody here, obviously, because Robert and Vanessa are here. They've probably never seen me. Release dates. I hate them. They're the worst. I like every time it's just one off, and it makes me so angry. And then Oscars, like they just who cares what awards they won? I want to know about the like the actual movies, not like what people thought of them.
That's
It
true.
just seems so irrelevant.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so this next question, comes from Nazario Montenegro. I don't think he's competed yet on our league, but he's an avid member of the community. So his question is: there is a general perception that the Schmodown has lowered the difficulty level on the questions this season. Do you agree or disagree? And if you agree, why do you think this is happening? I want to go to Tim and Caleb first because I know of the three of us as question writers, we get backlash almost every match from this question was bad, this question was too easy, this question was way too hard. Do you guys think that the questions this year are easier? And if you do think they are, why do you think that is? Let's go to Caleb first.
I don't think that they're like they're throwing out softballs. I think that especially when people throw that out, there's like a lot of times when you'll find that they're referencing either the like debut matches or the celebrity matches, which is like it's a celebrity match. Of course they're going to be easier. But like I mean, in terms of if you want to talk about like me playing along, like I still get my like average of like 5 or 6 questions every first round. Like they're not any easier or any harder like than they've ever been. It's just their questions. I do have a little bit of a not like a gripe, I guess, but like it's just a personal thing that like there have been a couple of questions that are basically just rephrased that have been used like, but I mean it's gonna happen. There's so many like questions. I mean they've been doing it for 5 years. Like what are you gonna like? There's gonna be some like repeated subject matter. But yeah, no, I think the people that have that kind of criticism for the Schmodown are just like what? Who cares? Fuck off.
Over to Tim. What are your? Do you think the questions are easier?
I agree a lot with Caleb. With a lot of times you see that for the debuting and the celebrity matches. Yeah, they're going to be lower because as a debuting, you're testing knowledge to see what they know, what they don't know, and then you can go on from there. And with celebrities, yeah, it's because they're supposed to just be fun. The celebrities are just fun matches, and it gets the word out about whatever project they're working on. Like, I mean, besides the Power, because I'm a big Power Rangers fan, in case you guys don't know, Robert and Vanessa, the rest of you guys know. Yeah, they don't. They're probably like, what the hell is that? But
anyways, the fucking nerd on the rewind that's big Power Rangers fan.
But one of the best celebrity matches was, I think, one of their last ones was the Evil
Dead, Ash versus Evil Dead. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, because the first 2 seasons have been great for that show. It's a great show. And I mean, for the regular matches, you still see the same level of questions.
Yeah, Bruce Campbell.
I don't really see too much of lowering the questions unless it's like a debuting match or a celebrity match, and that's normal. But for the regular matches, like the triple threat, those questions were on point for Rachel and JTE and Mike Kalinowski.
Yeah,
I always forget his last name. I always just call him Mike. But so I don't really see it too much, but you're going to have a lot of that criticism regardless, no matter what. We deal with it over here all the time. But
people are assholes on the internet.
Well, I was just going to say nature of the beast and be nice about it. But yeah, whatever Caleb said. But But yeah, that's my take. That's my take on it.
Yeah. So for me, I think the questions are slightly easier, but I find with like especially like the Ellis Snyder match, the questions are a little. I find they're a little harder because they have more experience in the match. So we're going to give you some deeper cut questions that I think would be easier for you guys. So I think the questions are balanced. Maybe that's the word that I'm trying to look for here. So to Robert and Vanessa, as people who have competed on the Schmodown, they're under those lights. The questions on this side of the camera may seem easy, but to you guys, what are your just general thoughts on the overall criticism, I guess?
Just like how movies are very subjective, I think that the questions themselves are subjective as well, because it really depends on that person as too. Like if you've seen that movie, of course it's going to be an easy question because you know the answer. If it's something that you're not too sure about, then you're like, oh, that was kind of like a difficult question. So it really depends on the level of whether you know those movies or not.
And Vanessa whooped my ass in the reaction for the freaking Snyder versus Ellis match. Like she was on point for like 2 reactions in a row where she had all the answers and I was just, wait, what? Like I just could not pull the answers for everything. So for me, being the second person ever to enter in to the perfect round plus the bonus point, like I couldn't even handle like 2 matches in a row, and they were supposed to be, you know, just regular matches that weren't for belts or anything. I just couldn't get the answers or know the answers for them. But yet Vanessa, they were hitting right perfectly for everything that she knew. So, I mean, again, it just depends on which way the questions lie for you that day. But averagely, like Caleb was saying, you know, you get pretty much the same amount as we got last year. But yeah, I don't see a varying degree of difficulty until you get into like the championship matches, and those ones do get a little harder. But yeah, I mean, it just, again, depends on the person. Everyone was saying how easy our 3 seashells question was, but if you have never seen Demolition Man, you don't know the answer to that question.
I am one of those people. Never seen Demolition Man.
When you guys got that, because I love that
so much.
Yeah. I love that and Dread. I was jumping up and down like, thank you, God.
And they had another question during the Snyder and Ellis match, I believe, about what was the franchise that survived the franchise wars in Demolition Man. And I would have been like, there's 2 answers. It's Taco Bell
or the foreign Pizza Hut.
Yeah, Pizza Hut in the Europe market. But so I know Demolition Man like the back of my hand, but so many other people don't. It could have been any question from Demolition Man, and I would have gotten that 5-pointer right.
Okay, so our next question comes to us from Harley Quinn himself, Mark Borich. He's known to be a bit of a heel in this league, and I know exactly.
I'm really hoping that explain the Harley Quinn gimmick.
I know exactly where he's going with this question, and I know he's going to scream in the comments when we say what I think it is we're going to say. The question is, what is our favorite Christmas movie? And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to take it over to Late to the Party. Shitter's Full. Robert and Vanessa.
Yeah, I would say Christmas Vacation is definitely a staple when it comes to all-time favorite Christmas movies. Yeah. So I'll go a little different with it. I would probably have to choose, and this one doesn't get a lot of love, but it should. Jingle All the Way, man. I love Jingle All the Way. It is one of my favorite.
Jeremy did not see this.
But it's Phil Hartman, man.
Phil Hartman. Okay. Christmas comes but once a year. Oh, these cookies. There's
don't touch my cookies. No. My cookie down now.
But yeah, everything about that movie, it's just like Sinbad too. I love Sinbad. House Guest, Necessary Roughness. Sinbad is a good comedic movie actor.
Sick world
we're living in. Sick world. And that's the thing, is it's quotes. If you are able to consistently quote a movie, that does, raise it to a whole new level. And Jingle All the Way is definitely up there. Granted, I have plenty, but Jingle All the Way is the one I'm choosing.
A Christmas movie?
It's a good one.
That's
an easy answer, but
I know that is an easy answer.
I just want to say, I'm in the chat. Tim, Robert is time stamping that few seconds, and he's showing that to Jeremy. So prepare to feel his wrath. Tim, other than
God damn it! I didn't knew it this time. It was Robert. I'm using him as human shield fodder against Jeremy.
So, Tim, would you say that Jingle All the Way is your favorite holiday film?
I did mention it, and Jeremy did get pissed at me for a Full Metal 5 of Christmas holidays. I would put that in there, but I also love Home Alone. But yeah, Jingle All the Way. I mean, come on. Arnold Schwarzenegger dressing up as Turbo Man. Come on.
And you got Curtis Armstrong as Booster, man. Booger is Booster in I almost said Turbo Man. Jingle All the Way.
Yeah, I mean, it's great.
Caleb, holiday films. What do you got?
That's tough.
I'm surprised that nobody said a certain movie that Mark tried to get on. It got
okay. Definitely not. I'm not gonna say The Nightmare Before Christmas because no. I'll just go with the freaking standard Die Hard. Like Die Hard's the greatest Christmas movie ever.
Deservedly so.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna do two more questions, and
with that, I actually got to run.
Okay.
Got to get out of here.
All for the band, yeah.
Yep. All right. Yeah. Anything you want to plug right quick?
If you're in the Chicago area, come see my band. We're playing at the Cairo Ale House in West Chicago at like 7:00. So I have to run and go do that.
Break a leg.
Thank you. It was nice to meet you, Robert and Vanessa.
You as well, Caleb.
Have a good one. See ya.
Bye.
Cheers. Yep. Cheers, man. All right, so we're gonna do two questions, and we're coming up to that hour and a half point that we try to get to with this show. So our next question comes from the Hurricane stock footage himself, Kane McMillan, and his question is, late to the party, what tips do you have in terms of growing a YouTube channel?
We actually did a podcast on the channel Under the Capes, and that is just everything in long form that we could come up with to try and, give a tip to how to start or make a YouTube channel successful.
Organic growth.
Yeah, organic growth is the name of the game. If you want to go ahead and just make sure that you're a fan first, make sure that if you're going to make any content out there, that you're passionate about it, that it is something that you care about. You're not just doing it because, people like this, so that's going to get a lot of views, because they're going to sniff through that and realize that you're a fraud, essentially. Granted, you can go in a fish out of water into something you don't know yet and venture in that way and experience it. But all in all, it's going to be a lot more fun for you long-term if it's something that you actually care about, especially when you're editing.
You have to be patient as well.
Yeah, you definitely have to be really patient. But yeah, if you're editing a bunch of stuff and you don't really care about the subject matter, it's going to weigh you down. You're not going to have a good time. But yeah, you have to definitely do something that you love. And the biggest thing that I've been preaching the last couple of years, social networking, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, all the social networking gin joints.
Yep.
Very important.
Yeah, no, all the social networking, I think as well. So the last question that we have, this is one that I'm going to bring up with Oscars being on Sunday. This is kind of a two-part question. Who do you think is going to win Best Picture, and who was the biggest Oscar snub? I'm going to answer this one right quickly. I think Shape of Water is the kind of the front runner for Best Picture. My dark horse is actually Dunkirk. It could have the potential. I know they haven't really given a war film that Oscar kind of credit. And for me, biggest Oscar snub, how on God's green fucking earth does Lego Batman not get nominated for Best Animated Feature, and the fucking Boss Baby and Ferdinand get nominated? God sakes, please. I was up at 9. I was up at 9. Robert Parker was up at 5 a.m. We were listening to these nominations, and we got the animated feature. I was like, perfect. Lego Batman's going to be on there. And they were like, and it was like Boss Baby, Ferdinand. I'm like, okay. So then obviously Coco and then like that Vincent Van Gogh one. They didn't say it. I was fucking fuming that Lego Batman got snubbed. Tim, you're smirking over there. What was the best? What is your favorite for Best Picture, and what do you feel is the biggest snub?
I've only seen a few of the Best Pictures, but I did see 3 Billboards, and I thought that was amazing. I really hope it wins. I doubt it will, because everyone's more talking about The water, the life
Shape of Water.
is Shape
Yeah.
of Water. Everyone's talking more about that. I haven't seen it, but Three Billboards is amazing. I really hope that wins. Over the years of just watching the Oscars, I've more just watched for the shows themselves, like the the hosts and what have you around that. There has been like a few Oscar snubs where it's like, because I always hate they never want to mention anything. They mention Lord of the Rings, but I'd love to see like a Marvel movie get in there for something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just me.
Yeah. Robert and Vanessa, I'm sure you guys have chatted about this hundreds and hundreds of times, but who are your Oscar frontrunners, and who do you think was the biggest snub?
I'd have to agree with you on that Lego Batman. I didn't even think about Lego Batman until you said it. And it's like, hell yeah, Lego. We saw it twice in the theaters because it was such an amazing,
so much fun.
Purely like animated level. It was a great, well put together movie. But didn't Lego Batman or Lego Movie also end up getting a snub back then because of the live action elements?
Well, I mean, with this year, like I knew Lego Batman Lego Batman was going to lose to Coco, but I think in that year, 2015, I think Lego Movie was the front runner to win pre-Oscar nominations, and then for it to not even get nominated was the bigger of the snubs, I guess.
So my front runner, I think, and who's going to end up winning more than likely is going to be Three Billboards Outside Ebbing. What I want to win, though, is Lady Bird. I really resonated with Lady Bird more. We saw those movies back to back, but just I don't know what it is about Three Billboards. I enjoy it. Clearly, we're fans of Martin McDonagh, but there was just something about that movie that I was like, it was good, but to me, it wasn't Oscar good, but it's cleaning up everywhere. So I'm thinking that's going to be the one to walk out with the win.
I want Shape of Water. I really, really liked that movie and the risk that Guillermo del Toro took with it too. And I just love the element, like that simple element of being like modern but classic at the same time. I enjoyed that movie very much. And then like Lego Batman, I think was probably the biggest snub for me right now. And then I know that a lot of people are saying Logan was another snub for as far as like some of the categories in there, which I could see why they would say that.
And I think Wonder Woman deserves some love too. But Logan, if it could only be one of the two, Logan definitely deserved something. I think they did get writing or something, but
they got adapted screenplay.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a beautiful movie. It was well put together. It was heart-wrenching. But I'm glad that a lot of the ones that we really enjoyed did make it in as well. So it should be interesting to see how it plays out.
I mean, if the Academy Award-winning DCEU film Suicide Squad can get an Oscar, any movie can get an Oscar.
Right.
So with
Kane,
that,
please stop telling him to say that.
So with that being said, we are coming up to the hour and a half mark. So I think we're gonna call it a day here. I want to thank Late to the parent I sent to Robert. I mean, to come on here on a little fan league that we average like 50 views per video. I'm sure I can speak for Tim, but I'm humbled by your guys' presence here. You guys are one of the Schmodown greats. Where can the good kids of the world find you?
Hey man, 50 views is 50 more than somebody who's not doing what you're doing. So keep at it. 50 will turn into 50,000. You'll see. But you guys, you can head over to all our social networking gin joints.
Yeah, you can follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, and we also are on Stardust.
Yep. So check those out. We are there, late to the party on all of them.
Awesome. And to our Cowboys loving fan, he still has to burn a hat, by the way. Cough, cough, free for all, cough, cough, cough. Tim TM Smith, where can the good kids of the world find you?
You know what, Brooklyn? I would love to just do an Inner Geekdom match with you to change that, to bring back my white hat of the Cowboys.
I'll take you on to music. If you want to do IG, I'll take you on to music.
You can go to hell on that one. But you can find me right here, Jack of All Trivia, on Facebook, YouTube, same name. We do these for the love, for the community that we have here. And guys, thank you for the support like always. And Robert and Vanessa, thank you for coming on. I don't know what Brooklyn paid you.
Again,
Brooklyn,
Canadian Tire money. Canadian Tire money.
Do they own your house now?
I'm telling you guys, no joke. Brooklyn did it with kindness, organicness. He didn't spam himself. He was just nice. He offered, asked, complimented. That's how things happen.
That's my man, Brooklyn.
I'm not just here for my good looks, otherwise I wouldn't be here. And to kick it off, or to end it off here, I am the Black Lantern Brooklyn Vail. This show started on a whim. It was Tim and I and Mark. This is supposed to be just kind of a one-off AMA thing, but it's turned into a weekly review show. And I mean, like look at the evolving success. We've got Late to the Party here joining us today. Be sure to subscribe to their channel, follow their reactions. If you're not already, subscribe to us. We try to do videos 5 to 6 days a week. Check us out on Facebook. If you want to get in on a match in any of the divisions, call somebody out and we'll try to get you a match as soon as we can. Cheers, guys. Best of luck and drive safely.